We're going to get started here in a minute. I'm just getting everything set up here. I got a quick lesson. Title of the lesson is Black Youth, Wild Bulls, Snared in Nets. Okay, and we're going to get started here in a second. I'm just getting the stream up and going on both ends. Like I said, the title of the lesson is Black Youth, Wild Bulls, Snared in Nets. We'll be getting started here momentarily. I'm just making sure everything's up and running on my end. You could share, like, comment, tag, invite. That's what I'm doing here on my end. And like I said, the title of the lesson is Black Youth, Wild Bulls, Snared in Nets. Definitely going to be a good lesson. It's not going to be very long. I'm just, like I said, I'm just getting everything up and running on my end. So we will get started here momentarily. All right. All right. And like I said, all right. And like I said, so it looks like we're up and running. Like I said, what I'm doing, I'm simulcasting. I'm on YouTube and Facebook right now, so I was just checking on both ends. Everything looks good. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started with this lesson. Tell you what I'm going to do. If you could, give me... let me get this up and going. Just give me a thumbs up if the audio's clear. It looks like it might be too loud. If the audio's too loud, just let me know in there. With that said, I'm going to press on with this lesson. Earlier this week, one of the brothers I fellowship with, T. Horn, he put up a video just talking about how at his place of work, it's a... he works, I guess it's like a detention facility where they school these young kids. I guess the kids are in their teens. It's like high school and they're finishing up, but they've gotten in a lot of trouble. They're at-risk kids. And he was just saying how gone some of these kids are. And let me put this up here real quick before I get into the lesson. If you guys have any questions, just put them in the comments. You're encouraged to ask them. So if you got any questions, just go ahead and ask. It's going to be a very interesting lesson. I'm going to be checking the questions on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll address them. But anyway, what he was saying is he was blown away by the way some of these kids are. You know what I'm saying? Their mindsets. And he was just saying that, he was asking for prayer and stuff like that. And what I wanted to do is, because one of the kids, he was a straight up gangbanger. You know what I'm saying? And he was just saying how, this kid, he had threatened one of the other kids there, and saying that the only thing that was holding him back from, doing anything was the fact that, they were in there, and I've heard this same thing from other brothers who work in the education system. One brother I know, he worked in the education system for at-risk kids in elementary school. And he just, like, after his first week, he was just blown away. And he said he's almost filled with despair after seeing just the mindset of these children in these facilities. And that's why I titled this lesson, because this is in the book. It's Black Youth, Wild Bulls Snared in Nets. You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that verse up, and it's Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20, okay? And it says, thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. As a wild bull in a net, they are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy God, okay? And that verse, you know, that testifies to, you know what I'm saying, the condition of the kids today, of the youth, you know what I'm saying, and people who work in the education system and stuff like that. They can testify to this, you know what I'm saying. They know that, you know, a lot of people are feel, you know, they feel helpless and hopeless, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to bring some clarity to the situation, and I'm going to come with an angle that, you know, most people probably haven't heard before on this topic. And something, because a lot of people are perplexed why, like, some of the hardest kids, like some of the kids I grew up around, when I grew up, I knew some hardcore brothers. It was like they were destined for destruction almost. And you know, brothers that I respected, I feared. I was like, okay, let me be careful around this dude, because he, you know what I'm saying, he is straight thug to the exact sense that they market thugness to us. This dude is all, he's that. And you run into these dudes, you know what I'm saying? And our society don't get them. Like, they don't understand these dudes. Like, I think the brother was saying that one of the dudes threatened. He's like, yeah, if we weren't in here, you'd be dead. It's like, when we get out, you getting killed anyway, or something like these dudes. I knew dudes like that, real dudes. One of the dudes I ran with, he ended up being on America's Most Wanted. So, I mean, and this society don't get them. A lot of these real dudes, they end up in either you know, prison, or they'll be in sports, and they'll be successful at sports, you know. And but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shed light on who these dudes really are, and it's not what you hear. So let's start with gangs. Like, a lot of people, like, why do these kids join these gangs? Like, what's the allure? Like, why are these kids running in these gangs? Why don't they come into church? Okay? And the reason why is, what you got to understand about these gangs is, in these gangs, there's loyalty, there's brotherhood, there's unity, there's respect. For a real man, a man who's a real soldier, a man of his word, a dude whose word he will die for. So this man will give his word, and he'll die for the word he gives. Because that's what I call these dudes. These was real dudes. Like, this dude, these dudes I grew up with, if they told you, hey man, you come running your mouth at me again, it's on. You could write that down and sign it, because that was his word. His word was bond. They was real about it. They'll kill you, or they would die for something they said. These are men of conviction. And these gangs offer what the church doesn't. These churches and family, they don't offer loyalty. They don't offer brotherhood. They don't offer unity. Believe it or not. A lot of these kids run into gangs because their family wasn't loyal to them. They were taken advantage of by their family. They were molested by somebody in the church or in their family. There was no trust in their family. But these gangs, they got men in there, men of conviction, men of their word that will die for them in these gangs. Okay? So a lot of people turn their nose up at these brothers in these gangs and all that stuff. But the reality is, this is all by design. These are the men these are the Malcolm X's of our society. These are like the King Davids of our society that are in these gangs. But by design, our government, our system seeks to destroy these people. And like I said, I'm going to go through it in this lesson, but by design, they've set up a meat grinder to either destroy these people or to profit on them in sports. These men in a lot of these men in these gangs are the strongest men of our nation, of our culture, and they destroy them. Okay? These brothers in these gangs, they believe in keeping rules. They believe in structure. They believe in laws. Okay? The church doesn't. These churches, it's lawless. In these churches, that's where all the molestations going on at. That's where all the crazy stuff is happening. In the families, in the black family, that's where all the distrust and lawlessness, and nobody's held to any standard. There's no justice. But out there on these streets in those gangs, you violate the rules, you'll be dead. Just like in the Most High's, in the law, statutes, and commandments in the book. If you violate the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, read the Old Testament. If you slept with somebody's wife, you get stoned, both of y'all. But in the church, it's lawless. In people's families, it's lawless. But out there in the streets, in them gangs, oh, there's laws. And they stick to those laws. They live by their word. So why would one of these gang members, when you tell them, hey, come to the church, they're like, hell no. They're like, there's no laws. There's no rule. Y'all are governed by nothing. They could see that. But there's something new happening now. You know what I'm saying? We're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. There's a standard out here. And there's brothers getting raised up now that they're not soft, feminized brothers. They real brothers that keep the law, statutes, commandments laid down by the Most High. And that is going to be what attracts these brothers who these hardcore brothers that are in these gangs and stuff, to turn away from that deception. Because I'm not saying the gangs are good. I'm just saying the gangs hold to a better standard than the church does. The church, these so-called churches, the so-called Christian religion, doesn't hold to a standard like these gangs do. Now, granted, these gangs, yeah, they're deceived, but they're honest in their deception. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to keep going because I'm going to go all the way into this. But this is the structure that has been constructed. It's basically the COINTELPRO. That's what it was designed to do. Matter of fact, COINTELPRO. I'm gonna bring it up right here, and I'll show you that what you're seeing now with all these gangs and these people caught up in these gangs was by design, and it was to what? Look at part 2 right here. If you could see it, it says these are the stated goals by the government of the COINTELPRO program, which is still in effect now, but it's prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist environment. These gangs were infiltrated and manipulated by the CIA. Okay? It's a fact. And just to prove it to you, hold on, let me switch this. The original name, the Crip or Blood, the original, the acronym Blood. Blood was an acronym. It stood for Brotherly Love Overrides Oppression and Destruction. That was the original purpose of the Bloods. Okay? It was formed by people trying to improve their community. Same thing with the Crips. Crips stood for Community Revolution in Progress. But through the manipulation of, this beast kingdom and us not keeping the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, it got perverted and turned against us and used to destroy us. Okay? And what I'm telling you is they needed something to destroy our leaders. That so-called thug you see out there shooting people in the street, doing all this crazy stuff that everybody turns their nose up at, pointed in the right direction, he'd be the next Malcolm X. He'd be a King David. He'd be one of these people who, if they got into these law, statutes, and commandments and into this word, he'd be ready to die to keep that word according to the way, the Most High laid it out. But our enemies have taken crafty counsel against us. And they're very crafty. So they turned everything against us so we could destroy ourselves. All right, Anthony Smith, I see you in there. I'm going to read what you wrote. You wrote, I'm a former black gangster disciple. It's no real examples of masculine men in the church. Exactly. That's what I was saying, brother. You said the brother, there's no real examples of masculine men in the church. The brothers see the brother of the church are docile, weak men that are subservient to non-blacks. No war. That's heavy, brother, because that's exactly what I was saying. And see, me, I grew up in a unique position because, I hung around, I always knew a lot of people. I knew a lot of the straight thug killers. I know people who done shot people in the head and murdered and all that. I've been around them. I've seen them. I've been in the churches. You know what I'm saying? I've been among the elite. I've sat down at tables with multi-millionaires, not $2-3 million. I'm talking about $400 million. I've met billionaires. You know what I'm saying? I've been around the docile, timid men, and I've been around the real, driven, hardcore men. And I absolutely can attest that the church is feminized. Church, as you know it, is designed for women. That's why they got the flowers and emotional speech and all that. Then majority of these churches, they're not giving out sound instruction to help you navigate the minefield of life. And a real man, a man who's groomed to be a leader, who's birthed to be a leader, who's birthed to be a soldier, a protector of his people, they have two decisions to make, or one decision to make. Go the feminized route or be a mama's boy and stay in the church, or go into the streets, which is more masculine, and die an early death. And I'm going to show you that that's by design. Let's go back to that COINTELPRO breakdown there. All right, let's go back to that. Okay, so it says prevent the coalition of militant nationalist groups. That was the first one. Prevent the rise of a Messiah, of a Savior. Okay, and they were coming up left and right. Look what they wrote here. Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a thug. He was a gangster until he got in there and he got it. But he didn't get into the right truth. But you saw the effect he had. You saw the truth he would come out with, and with no fear. You saw the truth he would come out with. You had Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, it says Elijah Muhammad. You had the, I forget what the guy's name over the Black Panthers. But I mean, these guys were coming up left and right, and they call it like a think tank meeting. They get all these smart people, they get them behind closed doors, and they just devise wickedness of how to destroy you. Okay? It says prevent violence. Okay? Prevent militant black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability. Okay? So, and I'm not going into all, I got a long program I did a while back just showing you the how they've subtly did things to keep us behind. Okay. So there's a brother in here. He said he grew up in Nigeria, and he said even over there they got gangs, and he said it's a miracle he didn't join one of those gangs. Okay. But like I said, when you wonder what the allure is, you take a young man, no father in the home, and he could clearly see that his mother she's a woman, he loves her, but she's feminine. He's not trying to take on a feminine spirit. And the only other option is the streets by design. Okay? And then you take another young man and he just stays with his mother, but he's soft, he's feminized. And then you factor in all the men and women who've been molested. And then they buy into the whole church thing, because that can take the masculinity out of you. So it's a meat grinder that they got set up for us. And the solution to it is what? Getting your mind right. Us raising up some masculine brothers in the truth to show these brothers that there's another option. You know, there's an option that's masculine besides the streets. And that's not everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not coming out of the streets. But in order to reach these brothers in the streets and in these prisons, they can't have somebody, you know, it takes a certain type of man to be able to do that. Okay? So we got to keep that in mind. All right, let's go. So just further confirming what I was already saying, I'm going to pull up this article. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. You could go read it yourself. But it's titled, "The Secret Meeting That Changed Rap Music and Destroyed a Generation." Okay? And it's a letter. See, the guy said, this anonymous letter landed in my inbox about a minute ago, you know. And this went down in 1991. And it's after more than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed. And you can go to the website is hip. It's better to just type this into Google. The Secret Meeting That Changed Rap Music and Destroyed a Generation. But the website is hiphopisred.com. And you could type in Secret Meeting That Changed Rap Music. But anyway, what he talks about in this letter is he's a record executive, and he talks about how they called all the record execs out to a meeting in California. And there was a group of men there. When he got there to the meeting, there was a group of men there in suits and ties that really didn't interact with all the other people. And they briefed them. And the long or the short of it, but read the letter. What they told him was, at the time, because if you remember back in 91, the the music companies didn't want to have nothing to do with rap. They hated it, and they were trying to get rid of it and make it as turn into a passing fad. But what these guys in the meeting told them is, they said, we see a direct correlation with the gangster rap and the prison. And we're getting ready to open private prisons. And we want y'all to get behind this hip hop because it's a double investment for you, for the money you're going to make off selling it and the money you're going to make off investing in these private prisons. And he said when they told him that, a couple of the people got up and they said they're not going to take part in it. And the people in those suits and ties told him, you know, you took an oath not to say anything. They were like, and they kind of, I guess, subtly threatened them about it, you know? So anyway, read the letter. But I put that in there. You know, I'm gonna do another show about all the stuff that's been going on with the crack, because y'all heard about the crack, the government. That was all by design, all that. But I'm just trying to show you, this is by design. That gang thing is by design, okay? And I'm trying to show you, don't put anything past the craftiness, because it's in the book that they've taken crafty counsel against the Most High's people, okay? So let's see. I'm just reading y'all's comment. So Brother Anthony, he put in there, the system had to criminalize the black organization to be able to legalize slavery and imprison us. Exactly, brother. Yep, and like you said, Watch King, they want to kill the black brothers fast. Yeah, but the main thing I'm trying to get in y'all's mind, these brothers that don't look down on them gang members you have that, you know, I mean, these dudes is warriors and leaders. Like if we were back during the time of King David, a lot of these dudes that are in prison for this gang stuff, and a lot of these dudes that are doing the black on black crime in Chicago and stuff like that, a lot of them dudes would have been in King David's army. A lot of them would have been generals. And oh man, I got some heavy stuff to show y'all, man. Hold on. These people know this. Like they know. I'm going to show you some heavy stuff because these people know who we are. They know what we're capable of. They'd rather, okay, if you don't buy into the gang thing and you would turn into a great warrior or a general, they're like, then what do we do with him? They thought this out. Okay, listen, Michael Jordan. What would Michael Jordan have been if he didn't go into basketball, but he became a general, a leader for our people? That would be scary. You know, Deion Sanders, you know, LeBron James. You're like, all right, let's turn them into entertainment. They won't be as threatening to us. It's scary to think what these dudes, what a Michael Jackson would have been if they hadn't, you know, he hadn't jumped into the meat grinder. Okay? All right, so let's, so here, check this out. I want y'all, I'm going to read. This is Numbers chapter 13, verse 30. This is the mind, this is the boldness of some of these people they have locked up. They're bold like this. They're not afraid to die. They're not. But they're dying for the wrong thing by design. All right, so check this out. This is Numbers chapter 13, verse 30. It says, and Caleb, this is after they he sent 12 men from each tribe, or 12 people, one from each tribe, into the land to scope out the land. And they went over there. They seen giants and strong men. And check out the mindset. Check this out. It says, and Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, we we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And then here's Numbers 14. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. A bunch of weak men. But Caleb, he had that I'm about the Most High, that conviction, that ready to die, that soldier mindset. He ready to go in there. And it said, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in the wilderness. And that's how our people are today. They'd rather go along with the constructs that are laid out by this society. Oh, let's go along with what they built for us, you know. Oh, them wicked gangsters. Nah, them dudes is soldiers out in the street. They're deceived soldiers. Man, if one of them dudes get pointed in the right direction, it's scary what will happen. It's scary. Like, these dudes is... see, this is the thing. A lot of people never really dealt with... exactly. Who put that in there, man? Somebody put a good comment. Rogers King, he said they pushing the gay agenda on the black man. That's why they pushing that. You don't get it. You understand, if one of us, it just takes one. And that's it. And they know it. That's why they so thoroughly keep things destructive for us. They keep that meat grinder churning because they know they're trying to kill us off as quick as they can. That's why they pushing abortion. That's why they pushing homosexuality, and that's why they villainizing these gangsters, these thug dudes. You know, that's why they try to villainize. Because they know that, yo, that dude could be the next Malcolm X. That dude could be the next King David. That dude could be the next Caleb. And get everybody off the wall, stop everybody from being scared, and turn up and do what we need to do. And when I say do what we need to do, I'm not talking about go out there, oh, kill white people. Because I don't hate white people. I don't hate them. I'm not pushing that. And I'm not saying, oh, we're going to go out there and go to war with somebody. I'm not saying that. I don't hate white people. I love my people. That's what I got. Okay, that's what's going on here. But one of those people would be able to electrify our people to rely on our people. You know what I'm saying? To motivate our people to not be relying on these other nations. You know what I'm saying? And look, they know this in detail. They know what I'm talking about, like the powers that be. Here, check this out. I'm going to just put this on because this is heavy. All right. This is Brother Yeshayahu. I interviewed him last night, but this is one of his messages, and it's better if he says it in his words. So I'm gonna pull it up. Just let me get it set up and find the time stamp I put here. All right. Because people don't think these people know, man. These people know. Like, the people who run this country, they know. So just listen to this. This is heavy.
We know this book. And believe it or not, our enemies know this book. They know this book better than you know your book, even though these are your writings. Okay? I want you to understand that. The things that I'm going to share with you today, the powers that be already know them. And I think some of us get to the point where we think we're dealing with an ignorant enemy. And I hear people saying stuff like that, and they don't know, they say it, but they really should say stuff like, the devil's so dumb.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard people? Man, I mean, if the devil's so stupid, the devil thought, you know what I mean? Hey.
I thought we can bind the devil.
Oh, yeah, man, that's a whole nother level. My point is this, y'all, and I'm just trying to listen, your enemies know this book better than you. Because unlike you, Your enemies read this book and believe every word that's in it because they know. I'm talking about the powers that be that run the world behind the scenes. I'm talking about the power behind the powers. I'm talking about the people who control the presidents and the kings and the nations. When they got a hold to this book, they knew they had got a hold to the one thing on the planet that had unlimited power.
Okay, and that's Brother Yeshayahu, and they know it. Like, they know who. The only people who don't know who we are is us. I talk about how, when I started bringing this truth, I was telling my brother about it, and he was like, man, he it wasn't no arguing with him about it. He knew he accepted it. And he was saying how after I told him, he went to work and there was an Italian guy there and he's like, hey man, he's like, you know what my brother just told me? He was like, we're the people of the book. And the Italian guy was like, yeah, I know. And my brother was like, and I was like, yeah, these other people know. We Johnny come lately, we the only ones who had the brain white, the memory white, Us and Catholics, they do a number on them and a lot of Christians, But these other nations know exactly who we are, and the government, if they see somebody doing something that they think is going to begin to wake you up, like the way Tupac was talking and the way Biggie was talking, like the way everybody was beginning to coalesce around them, they will act quickly. But the time is coming, because when these nations come down, we come up. So the time's coming when, as a nation, we're going to begin to come up. So yeah, Sister Carla, she put, because they are watching, they don't know the time, but they are ready for war, not that they are going to win. Exactly. Because it's not going to be anything we do. We ain't picking up nothing. You see the writing on the wall for them already. You know what I'm saying? The writing's already on the wall for them. But leaders are gonna raise up. They're gonna come up. So I wrote another note here. I wrote, these brothers. All right, these brothers you call gang members. It's like a lot of people wrestle. They can't get their mind around why they don't like church and why they're in gangs. But they see that church is lawless. There's no law. There's no standard. There's no loyalty in church. But in that gang, there's laws. There's rules. There's loyalty. You know what I'm saying? So what I wrote here is these brothers don't like the so-called church or organized religion because there is no law there. There is no standard. There is no brotherhood there. You do something to one of these gang members, you do something to their sister. Go molest one of them gang members' sister and then see where you at the next day. Because they protect their family. But now, Twan, the keyboard player in the church, go molest his sister. And then he'll come up to you next day. I forgive you, brother. So there's a difference, and I'm not saying to go out there and kill folks, but I'm just saying we've gotten so feminized in this society that we have deemed masculinity and loyalty and brotherhood, we've deemed that a sin. We've deemed that wickedness. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Okay? All right. So I got another verse here. And I'm going to just have to... let me see if I can pull it up. It's going to be 1 Samuel 17. And it's just talking about King David. King David... If King David was here in this society today... He'd either be in prison or he would have been shot out in California in a gang war. He'd already be gone. they would have ground him up. King David would not be up in a church today. Okay? I'm telling you. Like, King David was one of them dudes. All right? You wouldn't have tried him. You know what I'm saying? All right. So what we're going to do is go to 1 Samuel 17, verse 19. Okay? And it says, now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. I just put that verse in there kind of to set the present, but everybody was out there. I'm just showing you that it said all the men of Israel were out there. Okay? And now what we're going to do is go to 1 Samuel 17. We're going to read verse 24 through 26. Okay? I'm going to kind of stop as I read, but it says, and all the men of Israel, and this is the David and Goliath story, so it said, and all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. So most of these dudes were scared, okay? But it took one man with boldness to go down there, one of these dudes that today would be some thug in a prison or something, somebody that we look at as a scum of our society, okay? But a man of honor and conviction, a man of his word. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of friends who grew up in the projects and in extreme poverty and came up in violent, dangerous areas. And the first thing you notice about them is, number one, they're watching you. And number two, if you're not a man of your word, they don't mess with you. Like, they get mad. They get real angry when you tell them something and you don't do it. Because that was a thing of survival where they grew up. If they couldn't trust you, they can't mess with you because you could get them killed in these hostile, brutal warfare environments that they're in. Okay? These dudes is urban soldiers. And, you know, like them dudes, some of these dudes go in the military and they don't, they already came up in Vietnam. So like they go into a war situation, they not stressing out. They feel like they back at home, you know. But these dudes are soldiers. And we look down upon them and people can't figure out how to reach them, what to say to them, all that. And that's understandable because the level of feminization of this society, we swim in it. Okay? So it says, and all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And listen to what King David said. He said, and David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth the Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? So he was about it. He was straight about it. He wasn't afraid to die. He was a man, like he was loyal, transparent, like a real no joke goat man of his word. And it's like, and I've dealt with people like this because I like being in the military. I've ran. It's amazing the stark contrast when you deal with like a Marine, folks who are Marines, particularly the combat Marines, and then you deal with, because I was in the Air Force, the dudes in the Air Force. It's totally different. Like a Marine who's trained in combat. I've had some friends who were Army combat. One dude I know, he got some bodies over there. and totally different people, man. Just a different spirit, transparent, no fear in them. It's just a different type of person. A lot of people are intimidated and feel uncomfortable around these types of people, but it's a different type of person, you know? It's like they don't care about nothing. He'll tell you quick, I could care less. Like he'd say that more often than none. Can't nobody threaten him. He's on a totally different reality than what most people are used to dealing with in this society. Okay? And that's how King David was, because like I said, all Israel was out there. You know what I'm saying? They had, like I always say, they had all this truth. They had all the books. They had all that out there. They knew the history. They knew the language. They knew the correct pronunciation of the Most High's name. You know what I'm saying? So Anthony, he said Goliath was punking them dudes, and the people thought they were mighty warriors, and a homeboy, David, came up and was like, really? He said, bruh, this gonna get it. Yeah, I hear you. Exactly, Sister Carl. David was willing to die for what he believed in. See, and that's a lot of people need to ask themselves that. Like, what are you willing to die for? Like, you really need to consider that. Like, and the first thing people need to start asking themselves is, or pray to the Most High to start being able to see this society. Like, see this deception that's everywhere. Like, humble yourself, because that's what I had to do. I came in this truth by studying, because I had relationship issues. Just trouble dealing with women. Like, women really weren't, I really wasn't successful in relationships like I wanted to be. And when I was successful, I didn't know why. When I wasn't successful, I didn't know why. So that's how I kind of came into this. And I kind of come to find out I was like a feminized, soft dude. I wasn't a real masculine, centered, biblically masculine man. And that's how I came into this. So I came into this seeing all the feminization that was going on. And I'm not saying being feminine is bad. Wow, man, that's good, Anthony, that's good, bruh. That's a good question. He said, what is the church willing to fight for? Your money? That's it. Yeah, that's heavy. What is the church willing to fight for? Did y'all see? And I didn't watch the whole story, but did you see Trump sitting there with all those black pastors around him? It was something to do with they were saying like Trump's helping the people in prison or something. It's like they're not loyal. It's loyalty. You know what I'm saying? It's, look, because I kind of started saying this earlier. If you ever talk to a dude who's in the streets, in order to survive out there in that toxic environment, he has to be able to spot danger. He has to always be watchful, be looking, be vigilant. In the physical, we got to be that way in the spiritual too, but they have to be that way in the physical. So they have to be able to quickly spot some weakness, people they can't trust, dishonor, whatever, something that could become a threat to them. That's why, like, the dudes I mess with that were in the projects and stuff like that, they're watching you. They're not physically watching, but they're watching your behavior and seeing how you act. A lot of times they'll be watching you, like one of the dudes I started working with on the same job, he didn't talk to me, act like he didn't see me. But when I started talking to him, I realized he had been watching me, peeping me out, seeing how I react to stuff, trying to figure out whether I was somebody he could deal with, or if I was somebody who might hurt him, because that was his project mindset. And it worked, that works for him. But these dudes is, so all that to say, they immediately know, because they have good discernment. They immediately know they can't trust that church. Like, it's obvious. A pastor running around with a Jerry curl wig on, sweating, lying to everybody. He already know that, like they could see weakness dripping off you. You know what I'm saying? Because they have to spot that. And they got to make sure no weakness is shown in them, because it's kill or be killed in some of these neighborhoods some of these brothers live in, man. I remember the dudes who started coming to our school from Newark, New Jersey. And that was Newark in the early 90s, where Newark was Vietnam, man. They was carjacking and killing people. But I remember them dudes who came out of Newark. Man, them dudes reminded me so much of the Marines and the Army people who had seen combat. Same mindsets, So we got to realize this. We got to understand these folks we dealing with. So it says, yes, brothers, yes, brother, we sisters need you to stand up. You sure do, sister. You sure do. Because, and that's something I've been teaching on, is that, I'm trying not to go, because I could go all into that, but this is the other thing with a lot of men out here today, okay? With a lot of our men is, when I say they're feminized, I don't necessarily mean they walk around, oh, hi. Like, I don't mean like that, although a lot of them are. But I mean feminized in the way they deal with stuff, the way or not masculine. That's a better way to say it. They're not balanced in a masculine way where they can't control their emotions. They don't have any control over their lusts. They don't have any control over, like, and I'm talking about stuff I done dealt with. I done dealt with lust and being weak there. And I in and out, backsliding all through churches, struggling with lust. Struggling with emotions as far as with anger, struggling with impatience, struggling with all types of shyness, all types of emotions where I wasn't grounded. And when I say grounded, standing firm and not being swayed by stuff. Okay? And what the sister put in there is so on point, because these women are the victim of it. And that's why these women act the way they do. A lot of them are just difficult to deal with because men done violated them. They say 1 out of 2 black women have been raped and molested by the time they're 19 or 20, because there's no real men there. Nobody's standing in the gap willing to fight for their relationship or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going into that, because I could do a whole 20 shows on that thing. And like I said, I'm getting ready to kick off a biblical masculinity series on what masculinity actually is. And it ain't walking around beating your chest being a macho boy. It's basically standing rooted and being firm and not letting things sway you, whether it be lust or emotion or other people or whatever. You just stay firm and grounded on where you're pointed. You know what I'm saying? But that's gonna be a good series there. When I started off. Anthony, you don't know the Most High as the God of war. Man, that's good, brother. That's good. It said we don't hate what he hates. We grieve with and for his enemies. Man, that's good. And it says the Lord is a man of war. He's not coming down here to hand out cupcakes to gay people. You know what I'm saying? it's all bloody all through the book, man. It's you know, but again, the Christian doctrine is a soft, feminized doctrine. And, you know, it needs to be pointed out. There's a way to come at it, but my focus, spiritual combat, is more directed at men anyway, waking the men up. Because like the sister said there, the men got to get on point. We the head. You know what I'm saying? So once the men get their mind right, the women will naturally fall in line. But, you know, yeah, somebody put, we need Yah gang. The Yah gang. Yeah, man. Yeah, yep. And then churches, they're about that money. All right, let me see what my next slide is here. So I put this up because I'm a mechanic. So this is a metal cutting torch. And now this is a propane torch here, I think. But anyway, it's going to serve its purpose. This is how our men are right now. See this flame right here all the way to the left? That's how they are. And when you get one of these torches, you got to, if you don't have the flame adjusted right, and it looks like this one all the way over here to the left, if the flame looks like that, and you try to do something with it, it's going to catch everything around it on fire. It's really going to serve no purpose. It's just going to be a mess. But once you get that flame adjusted to like a fine, you know, solid flame, you could cut through steel with it. And that's how our people are once they get this word in them, once they walk in according to it. And I'm telling you, the leader, the people who are going to really wake our people up are sitting in them prisons. They out there in the streets running around right now. Okay? Because them dudes are already walking in warrior masculinity, but they going down the wrong path. And what happens a lot is the people trying to wake them up are feminized and soft, so they can't reach them. They're like, dude, I don't even feel what you're saying. You know, they need somebody on their level to tell them, look, everything you're doing and your mindset is straight. You're good. But you got to do it on this side, not that side, you know. This is where you need to direct that energy. So you can start cutting steel and be efficient. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you reach these brothers who are in these gangs and in these you know, in the prisons. You know, you got especially the most hardcore ones that, you know, they're tough. They're already tough as heck. They're already about rules. They're already about loyalty. They're already about giving their word and all the stuff that's in the Bible, but they're doing it on the wrong side for Satan. So that's how, you know, that is what needs to be taught to them. But what happens is these brothers come out and they go into one of these churches and they're saying, oh no, it's bad to be tough like that. That's evil. You can't be masculine. You got to walk around, you know, and they just feminize them. And these dudes are wrestling in their mind with, you know, there's something off about this, you know. So that's, you know, in a nutshell, that is what's going on. That's what needs to happen. Understand that this thing is by design, you know. They know who we are. That whole gang thing I showed you. And for y'all just tuning in, I'll pull it back up. Crips. This is originally what Crips was formed for back in the day. Community Revolution in Progress. It was formed to fix their neighborhoods. Bloods. This is what blood stands for. Brotherly love overrides oppression and destruction. They were unifying to fight the oppression they were under by this nation. Okay? But anything that looks like unification that this beast system sees, they seek to turn it against us and use it against us. Our music in the early 90s, it was beginning to unify us. Public Enemy, Self-Destruction, Brand Nubians, you go on and name all these groups, and it was a positive message. It's beginning to give us our identity back. The Third Eyes, Africa this, pointing out the government. They rapping about Marcus Garvey and pointing things out. And then they took it and used it against us, And then, the latest blow is, they throw Obama in there and he unleashes homosexuality on us like none other. And now the HIV rate and the anal cancer rate is off the charts. They cramming lust down our throat with internet porn and all that stuff. It's brutal because now it's here. It's an attack here. It's in your mind. It's nobody out there. Well, the cops are still beating you, but I mean, not like before. It's a mental oppression now. They brainwash you and you oppress yourself. Okay? They keep that family destroyed. They entice the woman to get that man out of there. And they're picking us apart. MLK, Mill, Lion King, Resurrecting the Lamb, Revelation. All right, I don't know what you're talking about there, bro. Oh, wait, let me read more. I see you put more there, so let me see what okay, oh, man, this dude just posted a paragraph. Dude, I can't read all that. You see me struggling to read a paragraph, man. Dude, he put a book in here. I'll read it later, though. But yeah, man, so these gangsters, the whole purpose of this video is understand that these gang members, these people in the prisons, these violent offenders and all that, understand who they are in the big scope of things and why they're so thoroughly destroyed and why they make sure there's one or two spots for them to vent themselves, or whatever the word would be. There's one of two directions for them to go. Either get killed or in prison or sports. Okay? Entertainment, And those are the only two outlets for these, what would be our leaders. These men would be our leaders. They'd be valiant, men of greatness, They'd be the people in the Bible, like I said, they'd be the people in the Bible that you read about. And like you heard Yeshayahu saying his message earlier, you heard what he said. These people know that book. And I wish I had got his message, because in another message, he was saying that he studied the Bible to a level to where he realized that the doctrine of Christianity was by design, just by the stuff they left out. You know what I'm saying? It was designed to disempower us and ensure there's no way we rise up and realize who we are. He said he could see that I think he said he was studying 2 different versions of the Bible, like one of those newer versions where they water it down. He said he could see by the changes they made exactly what their agenda was in the big picture of things. It's heavy, man. It's like as you begin to dig into this thing, it just becomes blatantly obvious of what the agenda is. But anyway, I hope this video was useful and informative to you. Appreciate you watching. And with that,